Hello, everybody, and welcome to the stream. How's everybody doing today? I'm in the middle of my long week at work. I've worked the last 3 days. I work the next 3 days. This is my only day off in the middle. It's 9 o'clock at night. I've been sleeping all day. But I wanted to just do some kind of stream. I don't know. I wasn't actually even going to stream this. I was going to do like a pre-recorded thing. But I ultimately decided not to do that because, I mean, I have the power to stream, I might as well, right? That is the way those things go. I'm running with a little bit of a different lo-fi playlist today. We'll see if it gets tagged with copyright. I don't know. A lot of times you see these no copyright lo-fi music playlists on YouTube, and you actually utilize them, and nothing happens. Sometimes nothing happens. Sometimes you get sections of your channel muted with copyrighted music. It is what it is. It's the life of being online and having an online presence anymore. I don't really worry about it too much. I don't make money with my channel, so it's not really my concern. It's not something I really worry about. I have a stable job, stable employment. But for those unfamiliar, usually when I have these lo-fi soundtracks on, that means it's a Kiomet day. I haven't played Kiomet in several months. In fact, I think this music is a little bit too loud. Can we crank this back slightly? Oh, no, the other way. There we go. I'm not really too concerned about my audio balance. It is what it is. I'm not really too concerned about it. When was the last time that I played Kiomet? Let's go ahead and check out my channel here and see what crops up. Kiomet was last played last summer. Last summer was the release of Kiomet Chill 8. I got 448 views. Kiomet Chill 7 got 1,500 views. And the only difference between the two is the clickbait arrow. You gotta love those clickbait arrows. You gotta use clickbait arrows nowadays. I don't like clickbait arrows. It's just kind of what it is. But it is what it is. But whatever. Whatever, it's fine. We're going to hop in. See, I want to make sure the chat is turned off. I don't care if the leaderboard is on or off. It doesn't really matter to me. Volume's turned off. Music is turned off. My profile is there. Not anything suspicious on here, is there? No personal info there, other than the fact that I have mod powers, which, you know, is what it is. All right. So let's go ahead and hop into the game, shall we? So if you haven't played Kiomet before, Kiomet is a free-to-play strategy game. You can play it online right now. You can go to kiomet.com, and you can play for free. It's great. And it's a strategy game where you basically conquer the map. Yeah, you conquer the map. You take it over. You don't really conquer the map, though. The map goes... the map is functionally infinite. I have a tutorial series on the game, if you're so interested. It looks like we may just get pushed off here, though. We're right next to the number 2 player who has 13,000 points, which is probably not going to go too well for us. Although we did get a little bit of a breakthrough here. When we have an opportunity to explain the game a little bit more, I will do so. But right now, I'm just trying to get the heck out of this little pocket. This isn't unusual. It's a perpetual game, like many .io games. am I just stuck in the middle of the number 2 player? It looks like I'm just stuck in the middle of the number 2 player. Yep, I sure am. Okay, fair enough. Let's maybe hop to a server with not ridiculously large players. We'll go to Svarga. We'll go to Camelot. Camelot's a little bit closer. Let's see what's going on here. Top player is 5,500 points. That's a lot more reasonable. I don't mind big players in the lobby. It doesn't really matter to me. But by being in a big lobby with big players, you have a tendency of being isolated like that, which is not great. So here we should have a little bit more breathing room. I should be able to explain the game a little bit better. So the game runs on, I believe, 1 second ticks. I could be wrong about that. So every second is a tick. Every certain number of seconds or tick, something happens. Buildings produce units every certain number of ticks. Certain weapons recharge on ticks, a certain number of ticks, and things along those lines. That's probably not really the best way to explain it, but it is what it is. We should have a tutorial in here about what everything does, but I'm not going to really look at that at the moment. Like I said, it's kind of a low energy day to me. I'm just kind of chilling, just kind of doing my own thing. So this enemy over here is attacking me. That's unsurprising. It is a bot. Chappie? Yep. Chappie is a bot. If we lose our king, we lose the game. We die in real life. It's a nightmare. Everybody's sad. You don't want to lose your king. So the way you do that is you send your units into the red territory to capture the land. Every building has a certain number of shield points. Shield points are basically health. Every unit does a certain amount of damage. Some units do more damage than others. Some units do more damage to flying units than others. It's somewhat variable. It's not super complicated, though. There's not really a lot of unit types. You have your tanks, you got your aircraft. That's about it. And infantry. And helicopters. That's about it. That's about it. That's about all you got. Infantry are made out of your barracks. Plane aircraft are made out of your runways. You can upgrade to airfields to get bombers, and then you can upgrade them to helipads to get helicopters. Barracks produce your infantry. You can upgrade them to armories to get tanks. Tanks are not really used by the top players anymore, although I believe in my tutorial series I did recommend them to new players. I still stand by that. If you're a new player, it's easier to just build up a bunch of tanks and beat the enemies. It's not going to get you very far against a skilled opponent, but against a lot of the people you encounter in the game, it will be enough, and it'll definitely be enough to deal with the bots. So there's that. I've pretty much expanded more or less as far as I humanly can without actually doing something. So I should probably start doing something before this bot just completely murders me. The best way to run and organize your troops in this game is through supply lines, which automatically pulls your troops forward. So when I say that, you see how my units are not really doing anything? When something like, say, this barracks... Where is my king? Okay, my king's right here. Let's move my king... I don't know. There's not really any good spots for him right now. Okay. So, every building has a capacity. Your barracks has a capacity of, I think, 12 infantry. Your runway has a capacity of 4. Once it reaches that capacity, it's not going to produce any more units. So this barracks is just not going to do anything. But when I move those troops out, this will start producing units again. Okay. Unexpected. But hey, we killed that player's king. Okay. So one of the primary limiters to the game tends to be, is that Dope? I've fought Dope before. Dope's a really good player. Huh. Okay. I don't know if it's the same Dope, but it probably is. But as I was saying, one of the big limiters and something that kind of... Oh, my brain is not working tonight. I'm sorry. One of the things that kind of separates like new players from more skilled players is just the ability to utilize your troops. Yeah. The more units you keep moving, the more units that you will have overall. So you really want to keep your troops moving as much as possible. I think Dope's probably going to kill me. Probably. Because I'm sitting here explaining things instead of actually doing stuff. Whatever. It is what it is. This happens sometimes. Let's try to get an alliance with Jappy. So how do you move the units? Obviously, like I showed off here, you can just kind of move them around like that. But you can also move them around much more easily. You can move them around automatically. If you click on a building and you drag it to another building, preferably one that also produces, it will send units from here to here automatically when it reaches its capacity. Yeah, we really are just gonna get pushed out here. Whatever, that's fine. But yeah. So what was I saying? Oh, my brain is fried tonight. But yeah. So the way that you make sure that your troops are moving is you just constantly chain together your supply lines like that. And what it'll do is when this group of units hits another supply line, it will automatically push those units forward. Yeah. Just like that. And then you can use that to chain together big lines of troops, like say what Dope has over here. So in order to utilize that more, the best way that I've found to do it is to use a central point. Now, in this case, our central point is not going to be a production building. It's going to be something else entirely. Once we be able to get to set this up here. Because I like to use projectors for my supply lines. I use projectors because they're really good. Projectors add shields. The way that projectors work is that they produce shields that you can put on things, on buildings, typically. So let me build one real quick and I'll show it off. In order to build a projector, you need 2 of these ramparts, which you upgrade from cliffs. And you also need 2 reactors, which you upgrade from these generators. In order to upgrade a generator, you need a centrifuge, which you upgrade from these factories. So there's a bit of a building chain here. It's not very complicated. By the time you do well, or by the time you get a fairly large presence on the map, you're going to have all of the building requirements you need, and it stops being a factor. But there are building factors. Look at this. Yeah, this is what a supply line looks like once it's all set up. Now, this is a little bit bonkers. I don't like that there's all these little spheres here. So these spheres are what the projectors produce, yeah? And when you use those spheres and they arrive at a building, it increases the amount of shields that building has, which can be useful. It can be useful. But that's not the primary reason I use them. Because it's kind of a, I don't want to say it's a hidden ability. It's not really a secret, but I don't think it's very heavily documented in the game. But that shield can also go on units. Your group of units can have up to 10 shields attached to them, which will provide more defense. It will give them a higher punching power, which is why I pretty much always utilize projectors in my supply lines. Not like this. This is the sign that you have way too many projectors on your supply line, but either way. But yeah, so we have this projector. It produces shields. You can then send those shields forward. And if we watch here, the shields are now there. It will slowly tick back down to the default levels, though. So I'm going to use these runways. I'm just going to bring all of my units to the projector. And we're going to try to capture this. Or recapture that. I believe they're using artillery to shell everything, but it's okay. But again, this isn't really very productive on its own. These have a limit too. There's only so many of each unit you can have sit here, and if you go over that, you start slowly losing those units. So you want to kind of keep the line going forward. That's why it's a supply line, right? So we're just going to continue into this unoccupied territory here. I fully expect Dope will probably try to push me out at some point, but that's okay. So in this case, I want to send troops into Chappie here. Chappie is really powerful. Chappie is a bot. So we're just going to send those units, and they'll automatically move along the supply lines. It's nice, it's nice. So continuing that trend, we want to put another projector down here that we're going to bring all of these units over into. And this is kind of the basic idea of how I set up my supply lines. Anymore, I don't really bother upgrading. Some people do. They enjoy their helicopter tank lines. I think that's what Dope here is trying to set up. I see he's building helipads. I don't know. It's not something I concern myself with too much. The meta has shifted quite a bit since I started playing the game, which isn't surprising. That's just kind of the nature of things. Things change, and that's okay. Well, is it the classic Vision quote from Age of Ultron? Things aren't beautiful because they last. Okay, there we go. So yeah, we have this projector. We have a bunch of units going into this projector. They're going up to this projector, and then they're heading into the enemy to capture territory. And you'll see on here, you'll see some of these units have little spheres around them. Those are your shields. Those are your shields that are protecting your units from damage. It's not a lot. It's not a lot, and you could probably add a bunch more projectors than I do. But I don't. So, it is what it is. I think we're going to create a second line, though. And we're going to start attacking Chappie from the south as well. It's a lot of clicking, a lot of dragging, a lot of moving pieces around the board. It's fun. It's fun. I like it anyhow. It kind of scratches that big war itch that I get from time to time. Because you can have some pretty enormous wars in this game. It's been a long time since I've been engaged in one, but they can get quite big. with lots of units moving around. So you'll see that I'm constantly, like, measuring the distance between my projectors and where I want to put another projector. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that there's only so far you can run one of these, like, automatic supply lines. I think it's 15 towers. I could be wrong about that. You can only send it 15 towers in distance before it has to stop somewhere. It's not just an infinite line, yeah? All right, we're just going to try to capture the production buildings up here. And we're going to try to capture this EWS too. EWS is the upgraded version of the radar. It lets you see further. It's pretty good. It's pretty good, all things considered. But Chappie is quite powerful. And realistically speaking, you don't have to send units, or you don't have to send supply lines to projectors. You can technically send them to any kind of production building. You can send them to your barracks, you can send them to armories, anything that produces units you can utilize in the same way. The reason I use projectors is because they're visually distinct. And it's easy to go on the map and look around, press T to bring up all of your projectors, and it will tell you exactly where your central hubs of troop movement are. That's why I use them. They're pretty good. They're pretty good. All right, let's push into this area. And you can see Dope with his fancy supply lines. Oh, Dope has 2,300 points. Okay. And I am pretty sure that it is, like, the actual Dope. The player that I know and love. I mean, I guess I wouldn't say love, but it is the player that I have encountered before. We'll just put it like that. Yeah, you can see here the supply line turned red. That means that it's too far away. So we could do something like this to try to tighten that up a little bit. I don't know how useful that'll be. I have a huge front line against Chappie. I am really not particularly ready for fighting such a large enemy, but bots really aren't that dangerous when you're weak. They get a lot more aggressive later on. Just capture those production units. There we go. We'll head that way. All right. You'll see I almost exclusively use fighters and infantry. I just find, like, it just kind of works for me. I've done tank lines before. I've definitely done, like, tank helicopter lines. I just don't have the energy to set them up. They take so long to set up, so much time and energy utilized. And it's just, I don't know. Usually when I play Kiomet, I just want to chill and hang out and relax and not worry about doing super focused, intensive work. All right, we're just going to keep pushing here. Might as well. So there are other tiers of building, other building chains that you can utilize. Your cliff here can turn into quarries, which you can then upgrade to silos, where you can launch your nukes. There's a silo right here. Nukes have a very long cooldown. They travel at slow speed. They have a short range, but they do functionally infinite damage against anything that isn't like a military hardpoint. We're just gonna keep trying that. I'm kind of running right up against my supply lines here, which is a bit of a problem. So Jest here is a guest player. They do not have, well, I mean, I guess they could have an account associated with their name, but they're not utilizing it if they do. We'll send those units that way. Okay. I'm gonna do something like that. I want to get rid of these launchers and artillery up here so they can't shell my position. Bots aren't particularly scary. I'm not really sweating this fight that much. It's not that bad. I'm more worried about, say, Dope deciding he no longer wants me to exist. I don't think they will, but you never know, so. We'll capture that, too. Okay. Not quite sure how big we're going to get tonight. We're probably not going to get to the top of the leaderboard, especially because I know Dope is a decent player. You don't need to get to the top of the leaderboard. There's nothing there. If you get there, you just look across your domain and you're like, yeah, I'm the biggest player on the map. Yeah, I usually say if you're, my poor brain is mush. I usually say that if you're getting something like 1,000 points every hour, you're at a good pace. But it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter what pace you set. As long as you're having fun, that's the important part. Honestly, that's the way it should be with most games. Okay, let's swing around here and capture this silo. And maybe try to recapture this bunker? I think this used to be mine. I don't remember. There we go. All right. Yeah, so we're already going for that satellite. Good. All right, this is a city. Cities are pretty useless in the grand scheme of thing. The only purpose about them is that they produce 5 points. They are a score boost, nothing else. Nothing else of value there. But yeah, that's a great example of just how much more extra sight you can get from a satellite. They're pretty good. They're pretty good. I'm really gonna see if I can find out where Chappie's king is. The AI doesn't usually do a very good job at defending their king. They're usually just running around being a target. So if we do a little bit of exploratory invasion, we should be able to find it pretty easily. Still not seeing it, though. Okay. Let's see if we can capture this headquarters. I was hoping to garner a little bit of goodwill by disassembling the launcher and artillery here, because I'm sure the bot has been using that to attack Dope here. Not sure if it will or not, but we'll see. Time will tell. Time will tell, and history will decide. Still no king from the bot, huh? Okay. Well, we at least got a little bit of extra breathing room for this supply line. Maybe we can push this way. Let's try to capture this production back here. See what we can do there. This is a big bot. I'm not seeing them on a leaderboard, so it's definitely not a player. Oh well. It's okay. There we go. Somebody deleted Chappie. Or it just disappeared on its own. It's a little bit hard to tell sometimes. Bots will despawn if they've been on the map for too long. They will also despawn, obviously, if their king is destroyed or killed. Anything that would, kill a player as well. Except, like, random disconnection, right? There's Not Average Guest again. And another Not Average Guest. Is that the same person? Interesting. No, it's almost certainly not the same person. I think that's just a generic name. Not Average Guest, that is. Let's see, where do I want this to go? No, maybe it's best if I go this way with it. I don't know. Sometimes it's... Most of what Kiomet is planning out your supply lines. I'm gonna be honest. In high-skill player fights, the players with the better supply lines typically win. Either the better supply lines or the better micro. I don't know if we'll ever actually engage with the player in this run. A lot of players don't usually fight one another. There's a few that do. But, yeah. Ooh, we got openings down here to expand, too. So you could really call it like a logistics simulator in a lot of ways. Because the primary challenge of the game is to, expand your logistics and have powerful supply lines. I would say that my supply line skill is marginally above average. Probably not great, probably not bad. Usually when I play against other players, it's just my knowledge of the game that carries me through. because I do know a lot about the game. I've been playing it for a long while. A few years, actually. At this point. There we go. We got a nice little empire going on here. ChatGPT chilling down there. That's a bot. You can always tell who's a bot and who isn't. I shouldn't say always tell. You can usually tell by the name. There are people who impersonate bots, but the bots usually have like names of popular AI, robots in popular culture, things of that nature. So I don't know how common it is for people to impersonate bots. I've done it a couple of times. It can be fun. If you really want to goad players into fighting you, masquerading as a bot is a good way, because they don't know you're a bot necessarily until they start attacking you. And then, of course, once you get attacked, you got cast a spell, right? We've got cast a spell. Yeah. There we go. So sadly, nobody is allying with me. It's not a big deal. But it would make life a little bit better if they did. There we go. Safety guest allied with me. He knows what's up. This player down here also allied with me. Although I think they are already allied with me and they broke the alliance. It's always hard to tell. Players are super aggressive in the game. It's not unusual. Here, let's do it like this. There we go. We'll kind of use this little nub down here as an expansion point. Start pushing down into the spot. This is a significantly smaller bot. You can usually tell by the troop movements how big the bots are. If they have a bunch of units running around, they're probably pretty big. If they only have a couple like this, they're probably quite tiny. Okay, let's see if we can take out this bot, shall we? Where's my king? My king's over here. Let's bring our king forward. And that might make your eyebrows raise a little bit. Why do you want your king to be forward on the map? It's due to the way the game works, shockingly enough. You might be surprised by that statement. Kings have a radius around them with which towers will not despawn. So you've probably seen it a few times at this point where when an enemy gets destroyed or their king dies, the towers around them will, a lot of them will despawn, will disappear. And the king has a radius around them. I don't know how far that radius is. I think it's like 20 towers. It might be 15. Which will prevent those towers from despawning. So you can sometimes get a little bit of a leg up on the competition just by making sure that unoccupied towers around you don't despawn. It's like you're constantly fighting against entropy, and the king is just what holds the universe together. We're gonna try to snipe this king if we can. Okay, so how do we want to set up our supply lines from here? We have a factory here. I'd really rather have one in this area. That's too far, too. So my concern is if I put a factory up here, even though that seems like the right choice, if I ever get into a war with Dope, which is very likely, especially if he keeps encroaching on my borders like this. This is also Dope up here. No, that's turkey power. Delicious. I love turkey. But, yeah, he could potentially shell this with artillery or launchers. I really like using projectors in my supply lines, but there is a flaw to them. There is a flaw. That flaw being that they're very weak, and they're consistently weak points. So you really want to have them back away from your front lines as much as possible. Because as you can see here, they don't have any shields. They're constantly supplying your units with shields. Therefore, they're not having any shields on their own, which is a little bit of a problem. It's a little bit of a logistical issue, yeah? So it's just something you got to be careful about. It's not the end of the world by any means. Okay. We'll go ahead and we'll turn this into a headquarters. Also going to upgrade 2 of these into projectors. Really? Come on, game. Come on. We're really gonna have to go the whole way around to there? Okay. That's fine. There's no safe place for my king over there. There's a safe place up here, though. I don't know if we'll actually be able to get there or not. I guess this technically works. It's not technically the dream, but that's okay. I mean, guess we could do something like that. This could just be our northern force. There's a pretty sizable gap there as well. I don't really know why I'm doing that, but whatever, it's fine. And there, you see, none of these unoccupied towers despawned. Because our king is right there. Which allows me to do that. There we go. So we have functionally captured ChatGPT's king down here, which is kind of funny. It doesn't really do anything for us in the long run. It's just a silly little thing. Eventually that bot king will move and it won't be a problem. That might make a nice little thumbnail though, right there. Okay. Let's just kind of turn this back on itself. I might send these troops down here to the south to just finish dealing with this spot. That makes sense. Or this player will leave. That's another possibility. Huh. That's actually kind of funny. So, I don't know if there's another player down here. There probably is. But bot kings have the same radius around them, yeah? So, this bot here, unless there's other players down here, which there could be, is preventing these towers from despawning, which is kind of funny. It's a little bit comical. All right. Looks like this is the end. And that bot's going to dissolve. RIP. I think that's partially my fault that bots do that. Once a long time ago, I was sharing screen caps of capturing the bot kings and holding them prisoner for long periods of time. And I believe the developer caught on to that. I don't know. Ooh. But here we are. We're about 45 minutes into the game. We're at 733 points. When I say that 1,000 points per hour is usually a pretty decent metric, I'm kind of right on track. I'm a little bit behind. But even with that rough little start there and a couple of restarts, we're doing okay. Dope is down here too. Not really surprising, Dope is quite large. Although not the largest player, that would be NSFB, which we are nudging up against over here. We'll see how aggressive those players are. Ooh. But yeah, as players come in and leave, towers are constantly spawning and despawning and changing hands. And there's another not average guest. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's just a guest name. It makes sense. There we go. All right, we really need to get this set up here. We have all this production potential going to waste. Is that really the best one there? No, I think that one's a little bit better. Okay. Just go ahead and set that up. All right, so we want all of this to go into here. Hopefully Harry over here isn't getting any cheeky ideas. It'd be unfortunate if I had to put them out of their misery. Oh, it has to go the whole way up there. Can't quite fit. Well, that's okay. We'll do it like that instead. Not really paying attention to chat, but I don't expect many people to be here at this time. Of course, I've said that before and people have surprised me, so who knows? Like I said, I am streaming this, so I wouldn't be surprised if people came in. Not super surprised anyhow. But I'm also not expecting it. Kiomet doesn't get many views, and that's okay. Kiomet, like many games, is a for me game. It's not for you folks. It's for me. I mean, technically all the games that I play are for me. I don't play any particular game because it's popular. I don't like doing that. Optimus Prime is a bot. Or a player. I've actually seen that name emulated quite a lot, but it's probably a bot. I see a lot of players. Ooh, that's a yawn. I see a lot of players who are popping in like not average guest here and then just not doing anything. It's probably the nature of things. They're probably like looking at the instructions or watching the tutorial video and then deciding whether the game is for them or not. There we go. I swear there was a player up here. Oh, well. Oh, no, yeah, there was definitely a player up here. They totally departed. Okay. I'm sure they'll be replaced soon enough. Can't stop, won't stop, yeah? Alright, let's bring this line down this way. Where do we want to take the supply line? I'd like to take it there, but that's illegal, you know? I could bring it down to here. And then bring it down further. Route a couple strays into that. There we go. Ah, there's a bit of a yawn. I expect yawns. It's late at night. I'm a sleepy boy. It's okay. Maybe my yawns will mull people into some peaceful sleeping. Who knows? I know some people have said that they've listened to my Dyson Sphere program videos and have fallen asleep to them. Which is honestly the vibes that I'm going with for that series. I'm not really trying very hard to be the most efficient or most productive player. I just want to do some chill Dyson Sphereing, yeah? It's kind of the same way for Kiomet, yeah? So I wonder what's going on in the chat. I actually have an easy way to check that out. You folks can't see what I'm doing, but I can see what I'm doing. And that is because I have access to the moderator log. Let's see. Has anybody mentioned me? No. Nope. That's okay. I don't expect people to. Okay. There we go. You know, it is what it is. Alright, my troops are finally making their way down the south there. That's good. So this tends to be the way that I preserve my troops through these long, big circles. Some people try to do a lot of overlapping, like dope over here. That creates a very powerful initial line. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. But as I said, I'm not really looking to fight dope. It's a little bit too powerful for my blood. Dope's methodology up here of crisscrossing all of his units really builds up the idea of scaring your opponent away. Especially because I don't really know if I like the way his lines are set up. So this is a classic helicopter. I mean, honestly, it's just like a little bit of everything, isn't it? The one thing that bugs me are these. These are the projector shots. We've seen them before. We've seen them a couple of times. Most apparently up here. Yeah, these guys. Here's the problem with implementing these into your lines. They don't do any damage to buildings. So, projector balls, I guess we could call it, projector balls, damage units, but they don't damage buildings. And that goes for when they're around units as well. They don't actually help to capture towers. So why is that a problem in this case with this? It's a problem because there's only so many units you can have along a supply line. Right? There's only so many units you can have in a supply line. I think it's 8 going one direction. So 8 going from Tower A to Tower B, and then another 8 going from Tower B to Tower A. So you can have a total of 16 in that line heading both ways, but you can only have 8 heading in one direction. And when you have too many, they suffer attrition. So, and it's just something you gotta kind of worry about. Good news is I don't think, maybe Harry is attacking me. I don't know. A little bit hard to say. I'm not really doing much right now. I'm just kind of hanging out and observing the line movements here. We did not manage to isolate Optimus's king down here, but that's okay. So where else can we go here? I think this is a good spot. So a lot of people like making like individual big long supply lines, but that has never really been my tastes. I much prefer more modular designs. I prefer having a lot of smaller supply lines that I can kind of direct to different points. That all, like, connect to one another. So I can kind of show you, once I get this set up, I can kind of show you how that can be implemented. Go. Okay. We are going to have to deal with this bot down here. The larger you are, the more aggressive the bots become. It's just kind of the way of things. And then this cannot quite come over here, but we may be able to loop down to there. Yes. Okay. Yeah, that's actually really handy. It's a good spot. Yeah, because now we can send all of these guys down into here. And then they can go pretty much anywhere. Talos is a bot as well. So I don't really have to worry too much about them. There we go. Excellent. So, yeah, when I say I enjoy more modular designs, this is kind of what I mean, right? We have these couple blobs up here, we have another blob here, we also have a blob of troops here. If I was to get attacked by, say, Dope, I could lock these units in. I could send them up here to help assist up here. If I get attacked from a different angle, I can send them down this way to here to head down towards, say, Optimus Prime, for example. I can bring this line up, or if it was Dope who was attacking me, I could bring this line over here and attack him that way. And I could bring this line up here. Okay, I might have to put like a waypoint there if I really wanted to. But I could put a line that comes up here and attack the middle here. So they have one big long line that could really do a lot of damage if it was barreling through here. But I have a lot of smaller lines I could attack from multiple angles and really cause a lot of chaos. And a lot of times, unfortunately, the way you win battles or wars in this game is to really wear down your enemy. Because players can get so big in this game, it can take many hours to complete a war. Many, many hours. So, I mean, you think about it. I talked about how 1,000 points an hour is usually a pretty good number to go by. Well, here it is. Right? This is 1,000 points in an hour. A player that has 3,000 points, it's probably 3 times this big. And you know their king is probably going to be near the center of their empire. Ish. So you gotta figure, even if they were doing nothing to you, it's going to take you at least an hour and a half to find their king. Because they're probably going to have their king in the center of their empire. If they're paying attention, it could be a lot longer. It could be 2 hours or up to 3 hours to conquer somebody with 3,000 points. So, as unfortunate as it sounds, the best way to win a war is just to overwhelm an enemy to the point where they give up. There's not usually a lot of hunting down enemies' kings unless that player is AFK, and that does happen quite often. There's a lot of people who play multiple day runs where they can get 50, 60, 70, 80,000 points. If we look at the leaderboard, like the all-time leaderboard, you have people with 140,000 points, 130,000 points. These aren't people who got that many points in just a day. These are people who played 8, 9, sometimes 10 days, maybe even 2 weeks in order to get that many points. And it's constantly like getting on and getting off the computer and all that stuff. I've thought about doing a leaderboard run, but boy, I do not know if I have the time to do so. It may have been the case that I could have done it years ago when the max or the top players had like 30,000 points. But nowadays, 74,000 points? That's at least 3 days of gameplay. Non-stop gameplay. Probably more once everything's all said and done with. So yeah, if I wanted to, I could start bringing this supply line down here and attacking this bot, since there's technically 2 bots attacking me down here. That's probably not a bad idea. And I could bring this line over this way, and I could bring this line over this way. Suddenly, I have 2 very strong lines facing down these 2 southern enemies. That's why I like having multiple supply lines. Instead of one big, powerful supply line, which is kind of what Dope is doing. But we're just gonna kind of leave Dope be. I don't wanna fight Dope. It sounds like a lot of effort. That's not worth a lot of time. Dude has 2 times the number of points as I have. He'd probably absolutely crush me. I would definitely cause a lot of chaos. Like I said, if I sent all of my armies forward, I'd probably have like 4 lines pushing into his territory. It would probably do a lot of damage. It would probably cause a lot of problems. I just think he would just probably overwhelm me. Okay, yeah, that's fine. All right. We're doing all right. We're doing okay. I should probably attack Harry. If I get to the point where I can't expand without attacking somebody, he's probably going to be on the chopping block next. I'm definitely not attacking NSFB or Dope. Dope just scares me. They're a very powerful player. I think they're pretty good at the game, too. I think the last time I fought him, he was AFK, so it's really kind of hard to tell how powerful somebody is from that. And if you have a problem with me attacking them when they're AFK, you shouldn't. That's just kind of part of this game. Part of the challenge of this game when you're doing like large runs where you're playing for dozens of hours at a time is how robust your defenses are when you're gone. And if your defenses are not robust enough to handle players attacking you, you're going to lose. And that's just kind of the nature of things. Now, it's a little bit different if you're trash talking and trying to prove moral superiority, right? There's a lot of aggressive chatting that goes on in the Kiomet Discord about who the best players are. It's kind of simmered down a little bit, but it still exists. It still happens. And a lot of times it's people getting mad at other people for like they kill their enemy while they're AFK, and then they claim that they're better than that person. And of course that person gets mad, and just a lot of back and forth. It happens. These things happen. But if I get to the point here where I don't have anywhere to expand to, I may discuss some of the mechanics of the game a little bit more. We'll see what happens. I don't know why Harry doesn't ally with me. Maybe I just never asked. I don't know. Alright, you're heading that way now. You're heading that way. Okay. We should be good to go then. No, Harry just really doesn't seem interested in an alliance, huh? Okay. Fair enough, I guess. More power to him. We're doing good. We're doing good. All right. Let's have a little bit of a chat about the gameplay mechanics overall, yeah? I've kind of had like a bit of a broken tutorial. I always feel like I need to tutorialize this game a little bit when I play it because, A, I don't play it very often, and, you know, there's a lot of people who are new to the channel. So whenever you spawn in, as you saw, you spawn in usually with a group of unoccupied towers around you. Your primary goal is just to expand as quickly as possible. Sometimes you're not going to be able to expand very far. You're going to have a very narrow window of expansion, and you may have to wage wars or, you know, fight some people to get out of that. Or just do what I did and leave and come back. That is also a viable strategy. And then after that, you want to set up your supply lines, which I also walked through briefly. But that's only part of it, because there are other mechanics in the game than just supply lines. I mentioned a little bit about the distance that troops can travel. And that's pretty much the big thing you need to worry about when it comes to your actual combat supply lines. There's also points. Every tower is worth a certain number of points, from 1 to 5. You have most towers which provide 1 or 2 points. And then you have the village and city line, which provide significantly more points. You go in here to the village. Let's find a village right here. Villages provide 1 point. And if you could upgrade them to a town, they provide 2 points. Then if you upgrade them again, they provide 5 points. That's right, 5 points. 5 points is the most any tower produces in the game currently. You could also turn those villages into headquarters. They kind of have a split upgrade path here. And with headquarters, the big thing with headquarters is that they only take 20 damage from nukes. I know, 20 damage is a lot of damage. I think I have a headquarters somewhere that I've built. Where would I have built one? There, right here. Headquarters have 40 shields around them. So, yeah, that's 20 plus 20. That's 2 nukes that they can withstand. 3, technically, because I don't think being at 0 actually destroys the building. Let's head this way. There we go. Talos down here is basically neutralized. He can't get through my troop lines. But, yeah, Yeah, on top of that, there are other things that you can play around with. Things that I don't really use a lot, but they exist, and they definitely have their purposes, especially in PvP combat. Uh, you saw them briefly up here before I deconstructed them. I'm not seeing any more that the bot built. Let's see. Nope. Nope, I'm not seeing any more. So let's see if Talos has any. No, but he has a bunch of silos, so that's great. Okay, well, here's one extra building you can produce. You got the launcher. The launcher is built out of the radar. It stops being a radar. You turn it into a rocket, which does, on its own, absolutely nothing. It's just like a quantifier for the next tier of building, which is the launcher. Launchers generate these EMPs. EMPs do not do a lot of damage, but they disable the tower for 60, what did I call them earlier? Pips? Seconds. We'll just go back to calling them seconds because they are seconds. 60 seconds. That's 60 seconds that it's not producing a unit. If you fire it at a building, for example, it won't affect this building. But that 60 seconds production building won't be producing a unit. That's 60 seconds that a tower won't be producing a shield. So if I wanted to take out this bunker, I could use a launcher and disable its shields. And typically, you know, bunkers only take 10 damage from nukes, which is true. It's still accurate. If I fire 2 nukes at this bunker, it's not going to destroy them, okay? What it'll do is it'll take 10 damage off the shields. But if I'm constantly disabling this bunker with the EMP, what you can then do is grind the bunker down with artillery or nukes or artillery units, whatever. You could send one infantry unit at a time at it, and it would eventually get captured. So that's also a use for the EMP. If you target it at, say, a satellite, you will no longer get access to the expanded sight range of it. You won't be able to see all of this stuff. It'll go back, I think, to basically just being like a basic radar tier. I don't know. But what I utilize it for, is I use it for anti-nuke. So it's a little bit hard to see it when you're fighting against other players, because bots don't really use their nukes unless they really don't like you. But on top of disabling your production, on top of disabling your sight when it hits the radars, on top of disabling shield regen, it also stops the timer for reloading weapons. So it stops the timer for reloading the nuclear silos. It stops the timer for reloading the launchers. So instead of however long it takes them to be created, how long does a nuke take to be built? 120 seconds? It takes 120 seconds plus an extra 60 seconds when it gets hit. Plus another 60 seconds when it gets hit again. It's not perfect. It will produce eventually. So with one launcher, I'm gonna have to do math here. With one launcher, which produces a EMP every 80 seconds. Okay. Let me get my calculator out. So we start with 120 seconds. Let's assume that the launcher already has an EMP built and it like travels there instantly, right? So immediately it's going to gain another 60 seconds. So it'll take 180 seconds for this missile to be built. Also, the bot died. I'm shook. I was the cause of that. I did that. So that's just like an immediately add 60 seconds to the timer. But that's not the end of it. Because then 80 seconds later, it gets another EMP. So we're now at 100 seconds left on the missile being built, the nuke being built. It fires again. Again, we're assuming that the EMP arrives immediately. It doesn't. It usually takes about 5 to 10 seconds. But we'll just go ahead and we'll add another 60 seconds to that. So now it's going to take 160 seconds. And then we're going to subtract 80 from it, which will bring it down to 80 seconds left. And then we'll continue running that constantly. I'm not actually going to be doing the math on that, but it will be quite a long time before it fires another nuke. And that's assuming that there's only one EMP targeting it. The other thing is that EMPs have a much longer range, which means they can't just nuke them out of existence, which is very nice. Yeah, it's very nice. All right, so let's go ahead and try to get this set up. I'll do that. There we go. All right, peace in our time. 1,100 points. So, yeah, EMPs more or less hard counter nukes. They have longer range, and they basically completely prevent them from firing. The other thing that we can play around with, and this one we may have to build on our own, yeah, is the artillery unit. That's this guy. It has 3 shells. Each shell does 3 damage. They have a fairly short range. I don't know what the range is compared to a silo. So a silo can reach out to about there. Yeah, it looks like they have about the same range as a silo. Maybe a little bit more. It's kind of hard to tell. I'm not going to grab a ruler and do the math, but they have about the same range as a silo. And the primary use that I use them for is neutralizing enemy production behind lines. So when I say that, you know how when I was attacking into some of the bots, I was just kind of putting lines down through the territory and just like breaking it up. Against like a player that I needed to spend a long time playing against, I would then use artillery to like attack the production buildings behind my lines to sort of prevent them from like shimmying up some kind of counterattack. Or if I was fighting like a pitched war with dope over here, I would find a production building on the periphery that's not really tied into their production, like say, or not their production, but their supply lines, like say these ones down here. This may not be the best examples, but it looks like everything else kind of is tied into their production, which is fine. This is a good example. This is a really good example. So this barracks is almost certainly tied into their supply line to a certain extent. This is like the end point of their production. There is nothing coming into this production. It's all going out. So I guess I could say this is like the start point. They don't have units running into this barracks constantly. So this would technically be a good thing to target with artillery. You destroy it, and then they have to consciously bring troops over to recapture it and then tie it back in. That may sound inconsequential, but when you're on like a long combat line, if you're fighting a big war against a player, and you're constantly hitting the periphery of their production with artillery, and they constantly have to like recover that and pull back, it can be tiresome work. It can be very tiresome. So, it's not bad. I think Harry is fighting with NSFB. It's a little hard to tell. Unfortunately, it looks like I'm kind of caught in a little bit of a corner here. Which means I should probably take on Harry. Well, let's set this up. Make sure that all of my production is moving properly. Because again, that tends to be the big thing. Wars are won when all of your troops are moving around properly. There we go. Nice, nice. Trying to like use these notifications to figure out. I wish you could get rid of. There we go. Yeah, I'm trying to use this "a tower is full" notification to find production buildings that are not currently tied into the network. I never really have monkeyed with that before, but it seems like it could be a good idea. The problem is it counts all of the like weapon and artillery things as being fooled too. That actually may be a good way. That actually might be something that I suggest. See if we could somehow stop this. Find some more towers that aren't full. Probably not. Oh, there's one. Tie that in there. I could just like downgrade these. That's a fair point. You don't really need artillery or EMPs unless you're planning on fighting someone. And then you just really kind of need them on your front lines, right? That one I may keep. That one we won't. That one we may keep. Same with that one. I don't know. I also wish we could cycle through the different towers. I'm like clicking multiple times on the tower's full icon and it's not doing anything. But maybe we'll see about throwing that into the suggestion box for the dev to work out. Also, this is a very hefty supply line. I wonder if I could, like, cut this off somehow. Do something like that. And then you... could do something like that, I guess. It's not really ideal. So yeah, basically what I'm trying to set up is when I attack Harry, I'm going to be going in from 4 directions. I'm going to go in from the north, I'm going to go in from the central area, and I'm going to go in from the south. Okay, I guess that's 3 directions. See what's going on out here. We'll build a couple of towers. Now, when I do this, he should probably know something's up, but whether he will or not is a completely different story. Hoping he's too focused on whatever war he's dealing with on the other side to worry about me. All right. Feels like I could just run this line in, not worry about that, and just tack up this way. Probably. Yeah. I could send this line over here. Actually, I could just turn that centrifuge into a projector. That works. Gives us a few extra shields. Now, there is a limit to how far a unit can go along a supply line. I think it's 150 towers. But we're not even 150 towers across yet, so it's a pretty far distance. Usually only is really a problem when you have very large empires. But that would be another reason why you would want to try to have, like, smaller and more modular designs. Ooh, we have a bot attacking us to the north. Maybe they're not attacking me, but they're there. Sometimes I wonder if Dope is a bot. Probably not, though. So when you do big attacks like this, you kind of want to go from production to production. And you can work on setting up proper supply lines after you beat your opponent. I really wish I could see past that runway. Maybe if I upgrade this one? Because what I want to do is I want to bring this projector up this way to cut off any potential attacks into this part. Kind of like this, except farther south, right? Oh, he has departed from this world. Well, that's unfortunate. Maybe he saw the massive army I had setting up for him. Who knows? There we go. All right, well, let's see who slayed Harry down here, shall we? Siri. That seems pretty unlikely. Siri is a bot. He probably just left because I'm pretty sure NSFB was fighting him. Oh, well, there's Ouroboros. You know, the question is, do we let Ouroboros out or do we let him eat his own tail? I think we let him eat his own tail. Not very nice to spawn kill players. But starving them out and forcing them to attack you? I don't know. It's kind of the nature of the game, unfortunately. Yeah, no, we're totally friends. I'm totally not trying to trap you inside of me. This is actually a pretty sizable bot. Maybe this bot was causing problems for our neighbor. Who knows? No. Okay, well, Ouroboros has left. Unfortunate. The Siri bot down here is also left. And Ultron here is also a bot. Okay. That allows us to expand in this direction, at least. Okay. I think the next time we get to a spot where we don't have anywhere to expand to, we'll probably call it. Seems like a quiet game, but that's okay. I'm just sitting up here staring at Dope, being like, should I try to pick a fight with him? That could go on all friggin' night. I don't know if I really want to go all night. I don't know if I want to fight somebody all friggin' night. I gotta make some more of Dodge videos before morning, man. Come on. I mean, I have a rather large audience now. I haven't really fought anybody this entire time except for bots. It is tempting to show off some of the higher octane combat that would be involved with fighting dope. Also, it probably wouldn't go all night. He would probably utterly destroy me. Which is also a fair point. Alright, let's see what we can do here. As I've said, I have fought Dope before, but he's probably gotten significantly better at the game, and my skills have probably atrophied. As is often the case when you take long breaks. We'll actually go the whole way up there. That's kind of neat. I don't really know how that helps, but it's neat. HAL 9000 is a bot. Let's just get rid of him. There we go. That'll figure itself out, probably. Actually kind of hard to attack into R2-D2 here. R2-D2 is also a bot. Actually not a lot of players in this server. 20. Of course, over the months and the years, the lobbies have become smaller as we've gained more of them. So there's that. I'd really like to get rid of these spots before I start beef with anyone. We'll see what we can do. You should be able to. It shouldn't be too difficult. So, there's not actually... Interesting. This area up here is kind of on its own, yeah? Which could be extremely useful. I'm just kind of ranging out some of this stuff. There's 2 silos there, which is a little bit problematic. Meanwhile, there's no silos here. There's 1 there. How, please? Well, there's 1 less spot in the world. That's good. There we go. All right. So I think I have a rough idea of how I want this to go. Most of these troops in the north, we're going to keep them in the north. We're going to shimmy them along this path. I'll turn that into a silo. And then here in the south, who are you? Are you a player? Let me ally you. If you are a player, you will accept an alliance, please. That is a bot. Well, maybe we just hope the bot doesn't fight us. It's extreme wishful thinking. All right. This supply line is kind of borked, yeah? Let's have this Ultron bot over here. And try to take him out, too. Once you get big enough, bots will almost never actually accept an alliance. Okay, so these guys were going to come in this way. We're going to pull these guys around probably and come in from the south. Actually, these guys will probably come in from the south. I may set up another line from these guys and thread them over somehow. It's going to take everything I have to win this, if I actually get around to doing it. Dope is now the #1 player. Interesting. And this bot has departed. Also interesting. You still got to deal with this bot down here, though. Okay, I'm a filthy liar. We still have to fight Dope. Is Dope going to disappear? Is he going to go to heaven now, too? I didn't think so. All right. All right, let's roll these in here. Like this. We'll roll these over here. It doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, I guess. They're all kind of going up to the same point. But like I said, I think I'm going to try to bring these guys up another way. To like here. You may try to bring them in here in the south, actually. Maybe I'm going to see what's going on down here. I know we're not perfectly utilizing all of this, but that's okay. So one of my main goals in the initial salvo is to just tear apart his supply lines wherever I can. That's a problem. That's less of a problem. So you don't... this is actually extremely obnoxious. So something you want to try to avoid as much as possible is your supply lines overlapping. because it'll create bottlenecks. You want to avoid bottlenecks as much as possible. I think that's... It's okay if they, like, cross left to right. It's less okay if they follow the same path. Okay. Send you up there. Like this is okay because the supply lines are crossing, like they're not going along the same line, they're crossing right here. That's fine. This is where it becomes problematic right here. This is a choke point. It's not really one I have a clear and present answer for. Although I might. Not easily, no. It might be fine. It might be okay. I don't actually know if Dope is still in the game. I would guess not. But I could be wrong about that. I want to go into this expecting that he's going to be fighting me. Well, if these are going to be attacking this way, then I may want to bring this to the south. Actually, we could bring these over here. No, actually, that's probably fine. Okay, I would say Dope is almost certainly still in the game. We could do a pulse check. But I think our pulse check is just going to have to be attacking. All right. Master Liberty, hey, how's it going? I didn't even know you were in the chat. How are you doing this late evening? All right, let's try to... Nah, screw it. Let's just go in. Let's just nuke the heck out of them. Where are my other nukes? There's one. Here's one here. We can hit that, I guess. I thought I had a few silos built, but I guess not. That's okay. We'll send these troops in to there, I guess. That works. Tarot has always been banging your head against Source Engine's animation blending system. Nice. I've been thinking of getting into some animation, but I don't know. It's something that has always plagued me. It's one of those things that I've always wanted to do, but just never really seem to have the time to do it. We'll send you guys there. We'll send you guys up that way. Yeah, that's fine. We'll see how that works. I really don't have the oomph that I thought I had, but that's okay. We're gonna bring our king back. Hide him away back here. Do you have any other lines that I've forgotten to move? You. You can go that way, I guess. Yeah, it's probably fine. Let's see, where else can we send some chaos? I don't really know where his supply lines are along here, but we can hit some of them. We can hit some things. Just see what happens. Yeah. Well, we've definitely gotten his attention, that's for sure. Unsurprisingly, we've gotten his attention. Let's, yeah. Whatever, that's fine. We'll figure it out, probably. He is a significantly larger player, so he's probably going to be 1000% fine. I just figured I'd throw some chaos into the mix. Here, we'll hit that. Go ahead and target his radar there. We almost certainly hit that with a nuke at some point, right? Sounds like something I would do. Try to back capture that a little bit. See what happens. And we're just going to basically cause as much chaos as possible. There are just the nukes. I was wondering when they were going to start firing. Alright. I don't really have many launchers up here. I thought my game plan was to build a bunch of launchers before I attacked. Shockingly, I didn't. Let's see. He has a lot of nukes there. Okay. That's okay. Let's head this way. I'm just here for the vibes. Let's be real. Who cares about actually facing off in a global war? I think causing chaos in his little empire here, wreaking havoc with his supply lines, has definitely helped stem any big initial attacks, though. He's just basically lobbing nukes at this point, just flailing his troops wildly. There's still a pretty strong line down here, but it's doing okay. He has yet to really build up a meaningful counterforce yet. Although he's working on it. He's definitely working on it. We're going to send a few extra troops up that way to clean up that mess. There we go. I mean, he outnumbers me 2-1, point-wise. So, again, as I've mentioned, I don't really expect to win this. I'm just having some fun. I'm just showing off some, like, big war energy. Because, you know, when I post this to the YouTube channel, there's gonna be a lot of people there who have never seen Kiomet, and, I don't really want to show them a video where I just built up to 1,500 points and was like, well, guys, that's the game. Have a good day. Goodbye. So, there we go. We can clean up that mess. Where is this going? Okay, that's going the whole way out there. Yeah, you can just see how quickly his lines have been disrupted. Okay. So we're playing some reindeer games, huh? Okay. Actually, come back down this way. I don't really know what I'm aiming for here. Part of the problem is that I don't really know much farther outside of the initial area of knowledge that I had, yeah? So I'm kind of grasping at straws on where to go from here. I guess I could go capture this radar, this satellite, and get a better idea. Same up there. He is starting to whip together something up here and over here a little bit. So maybe we can clean this up. Throw a little chaos into the mix. Funnily enough, I'm using his own nukes to clean up any of his like production backlog that ends up trapped behind my lines. There you go, let's head to that. I can't hit that nuke. He has so many nukes. That's hilarious. Yeah, the funny thing is that this really doesn't do much of anything to me. It looks scary, but it's not. Is it basically? I mean, it stops me from using these nukes, I guess, but not too worried about that. I'm not really using my nukes very well anyway. Oops. There we go. I'd like to capture this whole area. What is he doing down here? He's just showing this. This area doesn't even have any production, buddy. The best you might be able to hit is this satellite. I guess he's trying to whip together something down there. We might be able to cause some chaos off in that direction. Who knows? Actually... where's my supply line? Goes to there, and that goes up. Yeah, we should probably wheel it that way. Do something like that. Oops. Do something like that, maybe. I don't know, it's just causing mischief at this point. He's hitting there. That's actually a good spot for him to hit. But I can redirect my lines. Shift up that way. This line up here isn't very powerful, but it's just a constant thorn in this northern area. And we're just gonna continue throwing everything into chaos. I mean, he has the right idea attacking the production here. It just doesn't really matter because I'm not even using that production. Let's see, maybe I can consolidate a lot of this area. I don't know. I'm just causing chaos at this point. I'm not doing anything fancy. Let's do that. Oh, wait. All right, I was going to wheel around there. Whatever, that's fine too. Heading up that way. Can capture this silo if we can. Destroy that, stop him from producing a silo there. Yeah, as you do. As you do. Try to clean up this back end a little bit. Just kind of don't really have a lot of steam in this line. Not that that's a huge problem. Just means we gotta get Steam elsewhere. Preferably on Windows. That way you can play all of your favorite Steam games. That's going there, which is going up there. Yeah, you can just do something like that. That's fine. I guess we're just going to keep pushing southward. We can probably clean up this bulge if we get it isolated. Which is gonna be pretty handy. We can cause a bit of chaos up there. He's still hitting these silos. That's okay. That could become a silo, so we want to take it out. We've already taken that one out. That's good. Get rid of that helipad. Excellent, excellent. I feel like I've done significant damage here. I feel as if he was... I think he was running, like, one really powerful line that just weaved along probably the entirety of his empire. And now it feels like there's two, yeah? It feels like there's one here, and then there's one here. It almost feels like I'm, like, almost bisecting his, his supply lines. Which is interesting. We'll just say that's interesting. Might as well silo some of these before they're used. I feel like I'm missing something. Is it just these guys? Probably. See, you're going up that way. You guys are going up this way. You guys are going down that way. And you guys are going this way. Okay. All right, fair enough. I could build some more artillery and take out some of this production. It's not a big deal. Not a big deal. We're doing fine. He is organizing his defenses, though. He is making progress on getting his stuff set back up. Ah, and he did finally hit... He did finally hit my tower down here. The radar. Not that it really matters. Let's see, where else are there nukes? There's one there. There's one there. That one may not hit. You can intercept nukes with other nukes. Really, with any projectile. But it has to be targeted at whatever's producing that projectile. So, for example, down here I was intercepting it with artillery shells. But I could only do that because it was targeting the artillery. You know, as it does sometimes. Let's see. Okay. That's fine. Hopefully this is a friendly. Hopefully it's not an enemy. Otherwise, I'll be very sad. Maybe... Of course, I don't really know what's going on over here. Let's see what's going on over here. This supply line is running out of energy before it really gets up there. Might as well bring them around there. It'd be hilarious if we somehow stumbled onto their king. It's just probably not going to happen. Highly unlikely. Let's head up there. Guest house. I may be able to get a friendship with guest house. I'm gonna try something a little bit different over here. I'm gonna kind of create my own little supply line without any projectors. Just to kind of get another branch of attack going. Oh, that's gonna run up into that, is it? Okay. That's fine. And we can bring this line up here and bring it around this way. Shoot, that's a dead end. We could bring it up that way, I guess. We could just string it into there. I guess that works fine. He's going to use that as another path to flank, which is going to be a nuisance. But that's okay. There's almost certainly a more organized way that I could be doing this. I'm just being a slacker, basically. I've gained roughly 100 points as I started this battle. He's at roughly about the same points, I think. Maybe a little bit less. Okay, let's sit over here. Again, a lot of this is just trying to cause chaos. You gotta get them mad. You gotta get them to not... This is one of the only games that I play where the primary goal is not to defeat the enemy king, but to get them to not want to play anymore. It's a real flaw with the game, really. But, it is what it is, yeah? Now, it is accurate to say that we could be running all of this production we're taking from him into the supply line. And maybe being a little bit more efficient with it. But it also invites potential disaster if he can figure out how to break down those supply lines. We could just be chaotic. Just cause a ruckus. I like causing ruckuses. Let's go ahead and destroy some of this backlog here. It's actually building silos back here, too. Interesting. I am a little bit worried about what's going on down here. But this sort of jank supply line is kind of working. It is weakening this supply line a bit, but yeah, we'll be okay. We'll be okay. I'd love to get some artillery into... I don't really know if these projectors are in his supply line. Yeah, I knew you were bringing troops up this way. I saw you, buddy boy. My man. Okay. You might think this looks ugly and chaotic. That's because it is. Oh! Oh. That happened. We take those as wins. We take that as a win in the Kiomet world. He was definitely reacting to what I was doing. And, which means he either got frustrated and gave up, or, I don't know, maybe his mom went out to dinner. Or his mom went out to dinner. His mom took him out to dinner. Who knows? My dad's birthday is coming up. In the near future. And we always go out to dinner. Usually someplace really nice for dinner. I went to Red Lobster for my birthday dinner. And actually it was both my birthday dinner and my mother's birthday dinner. So, yeah, we made it to the top of the leaderboard. Yeah! Excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So there's not going to be any real threats for us for a while. So this is probably where we're going to call it, honestly. Now, of course, the logic would be you continue to expand out. You expand, you grow. Let's just keep expanding. Let's see what happens. What time is it? Oh, it is almost midnight. My time. I don't know. Let's just see. Let's just see what's going on up here. You know, it's kind of a shame. This would actually be a great start to a long-term run. And the reason why I say that, like a multi-day run, and the reason I say that is because I'm fairly certain that we're right up against the back of the map currently. Because you see, nothing's spawned down here in a very long time. Usually that's a pretty good indicator that you're at the edge of the map, or the current edge of the map. Now, the center of the map does move. It moves, I think, just randomly and based on time to help shake up the status quo and to cause players to spawn in other areas. Like, if you go back, well, you'd have to go back onto the YouTube channel. But if you go back to the YouTube channel and you look at some of the Kiomet time lapses, you'll see situations where enemies don't spawn in an area for a very long time, and then suddenly they start doing so. And that's usually an example of the map, like, changing where the central point of the map is. Which, the game always tries to spawn players towards the center of the map. That's also why we're not really encountering anybody out here. Let's just go until we find someone, yeah? So, this will be the second time we've bullied Dope in a video. Poor Dope. I feel bad for him. At least this time he wasn't AFK. I'm spreading like a germ. Yeah, there's only 11 players on the map right now. 10 players on the map. And that doesn't include bots. That's all players. Something's fighting up that way. Okay. Just gotta follow these tendrils out to their logical conclusion. I'm not really worried about resetting my lines. Normally I'd, like, reset my lines, get them all looking pretty again, create some new ones in this captured territory. Not really worried about that. Just gonna see what we can find out here. And kill this bot. Probably. Droid's King has to be somewhere around here. Oh, it looks like we're getting into some room. I think there's some room going on. Must mean we're getting close to another player up here. Hopefully it's not a bot. Hopefully it's another real player. And we're about to find out. Still nothing out here, huh? Where is this king? There's a player. They are real. There are players up here. It's a miracle. Sentinel is not a player. Sentinel is a bot. Siri is also a bot. Okay, well, somebody killed Droid's King. It wasn't me, probably. Mech is also a bot. Not really that surprising. When there's not a lot of players, there's usually a lot of bots. But yeah, you can see, like, how extremely well defended I would be. You know, if I had the time, if I had multiple days, if I didn't have a full-time job to work, we could spin this into something where we would just conquer the map. Or at least as much as the map as we could. There is a limit to how far you can expand. There's two limits. There's the server limit, which is the point where you expand so far that the server risks crashing, and Squirrel's the dev. Squirrel has to pull the plug on the server. And there is also the hard limit, which is roughly, I think it's somewhere in the 250,000 tower range. That's 250,000 towers. And people have done the math before. Let's see. See if I can find it. It comes up on the Discord every now and then. Towers, 250. Okay. Oops. Don't mind me, just pushing the wrong buttons once again. Let's see. It's like, okay. Well, the only reference that I see is me, which was referencing something else that I can't find anymore. It's something like 259,000 towers are possible on a map. You got to keep in mind though that a lot of towers are worth more than 1 point. If you go into the help menu, your silos are worth. Or your quarries are worth 2 points. Silos are 1. Your refineries are 3 points. What else do we have in here that's worth more than 1 point? Other than the obvious. Okay, so it looks like you're looking at quarries, refineries, and then, of course, the city tree. The city tree has villages and towns. Towns are worth 2 points. Cities are worth 5 points. So that would probably get closer to like 400 to 500,000 points possible on the map at any given time. But yeah, I think this is going to be it for me today, folks. I know it's a little bit of a short stream, almost 3 hours. But I wanted to play something or stream something today. Like I said, I wasn't originally going to stream Kiomet. I was just going to play it. But I figured, why not stream it? Why not stream it? But that's going to be it for us. So thank you everybody for watching. I appreciate every single one of you, and it's also a good time because my music's about to run out. But yeah, until next time, folks. Happy gaming.